drill, Commanders fans. An unknown rookie has just spit in the face of the NFL with an unbelievable record. Will he be the lifeline our franchise needs or just a one-hit wonder? Don't move, because as we speak, an all-pro linebacker is limping toward Lambeau Field, ready to devour our QB. And you don't want to be offline when his fate is decided. Urgent! Washington's worst draft decision resurfaces like a ghost in Buffalo. Was the scouting off, or was it sabotaged by the old management? Every second counts. Subscribe now before 17,000 fans find out before you if we write glory this Thursday or bury corpses. Hit like and spread the word! This is more than football. It's war, redemption, and secrets the league doesn't want you to see. Check this out, friends, because what happened on Sunday against the Giants was absolutely historic, and you need to know about it. Jackery Bill Krosky Merritt, the running back we picked with the 200th selection in the 2025 draft, just achieved something no player in NFL history had ever accomplished before. Let me tell you how this guy got here, because his story is pure inspiration. After playing just one game in his senior season in Arizona, he transferred to New Mexico, where he put together an impressive campaign that reignited his hopes of reaching the NFL. His standout performance in the East-West Shrine Bowl was the final spark that caught the Commanders' attention. And here's something important you need to understand. The East-West Shrine Bowl isn't just any exhibition game. It's one of the most important events for players aiming to catch the eyes of NFL scouts. Many players shine there and end up being drafted, but few have made the immediate impact we've seen with Krosky Merritt. When the Commanders called his name with the 200th pick in the 2025 draft, Krosky Merritt carried a chip on his shoulder, determined to prove he belonged at this level. And I'm telling you, that underdog mentality, that hunger to prove everyone wrong, is exactly what we need in Washington. This organization has been building a culture of hard work and personal achievement under Dan Quinn. On Sunday against the Giants, he wasted no time showing it. But I want you to understand the full context of what happened in that game. The Giants came in with a solid defensive plan. They had studied our offensive trends and thought they had our running game under control. They were completely wrong. Now, let me ask you this. Did you know this young man helped seal the Commanders' 21-6 victory with an outstanding performance? He rushed for 82 yards on just 10 carries, including a crucial 42-yard run in the fourth quarter that set the tone for victory. He also found the end zone for his first professional touchdown, making an immediate impact in his NFL debut. But let me dive into those stats because they're truly impressive. An average of 8.2 yards per carry in his professional debut is something very few rookies achieve, especially being such a late pick. And that 42-yard run in the fourth quarter wasn't chance. It was the result of perfect reading, impeccable execution, and the confidence of a veteran in the body of a rookie. I was watching the tape of that game, and what impressed me most was his vision. Krosky Merritt not only has speed and power, but also has that innate ability to find holes that other runners don't see. It's something you can't teach, something you're born with, or you don't have. But here's what's truly historic that I want you to understand. In the process, Krosky Merritt etched his name in the history books. He became the first player in NFL history selected at position 200 or later to rush for 75 yards or more and score a touchdown in his debut game. I think for a late-round player who was struggling for a roster spot just a few months ago, this was a declarative performance. One that has fans wondering if the Commanders' backfield just discovered its next hidden gem. And here I want to make a historical comparison that will blow your mind. Tom Brady was drafted at pick 199 in the year 2000. Krosky Merritt was selected at 200. Was it a coincidence? Probably yes. But I love to think there's something magical about those late picks that awaken a special motivation in certain players. Now I tell you this guy not only broke a record, but also showed that in this new organization under Dan Quinn and Adam Peters, talent is recognized no matter where it comes from. But will it be consistent? Can he maintain this level throughout the season? I believe the key will be in how the coaching staff manages his snaps and development. It's easy to have a great game, but the real test is consistency week after week. In this league where every team studies your tape and prepares specifically to stop you. And let me tell you something more about this kid's character. According to reports from training camp, Krosky Merritt was one of the first to arrive and one of the last to leave each day. That work ethic combined with his natural talent is the perfect recipe for success in this league. Now, let's talk about our next challenge, because tonight we face a Green Bay Packers team that has a new defensive weapon that could cause serious problems. Micah Parsons, the 4-time Pro Bowler acquired by the Packers in a blockbuster trade, has an uncertain status for tonight's Thursday night football. Let me explain the full situation. Parsons came to Green Bay with Super Bowl aspirations, but has been dealing with back pain that kept him with limited participation during the 3 practice days this week. His official status hours before the showdown against us is questionable. But I want you to understand what questionable really means in the context of a Thursday night football game. Teams tend to be more conservative with injured players when there are only 3 days of rest between games. However, when we're talking about a talent like Micah Parsons, the usual rules don't always apply. The trade that brought Parsons to Green Bay was one of the most shocking of the offseason. The Cowboys, in a surprising move, decided they couldn't afford the massive contract Parsons was going to demand. And the Packers seized that opportunity to add an elite piece to their already solid defense. Now let me ask you, remember what happened in his first game with the Packers? Although he had a limited role, still adapting and finding rhythm, Parsons had an impact on Green Bay's positive result in Week 1 against the Lions. With minimal game time, he secured a tackle and a sack on Jared Goff. And here's what really worries me as a Commanders fan. That sack on Goff was not by chance. It was the result of perfect reading, flawless technique, and that explosive speed that makes Parsons one of the league's most feared pass rushers. I believe this is what we need to understand. Even injured and with limited snaps, this man is dangerous. He was the Defensive Rookie of the Year in 2021, a 3-time All-Pro. And when he's healthy, he's practically unstoppable. If he plays tonight, our quarterback and offensive line will have to be prepared for the challenge of their lives. Let me dive into why Parsons is so effective. It's not just his speed, though it's elite. It's not just his power, though he can physically dominate larger tackles. It's his versatility. He can rush from any position. He can cover. He can play against the run. He's a matchup nightmare for any offensive coordinator. The question I ask myself is this: will the Packers risk him on a Thursday night football game with a short recovery week? I tell you they probably will, because they know they need all the help possible to stop our renewed offense under Cliff Kingsbury. But here's my deeper analysis. If Parsons plays with limitations, that could be both an advantage and a disadvantage for us. A Micah Parsons at 70% is still more dangerous than 90% of the defensive ends in this league, but it also means he won't be on the field every down, giving us opportunities to exploit him. Our offensive coordinator, Cliff Kingsbury, will have to be creative tonight. He'll need to use motion, misdirection, and quick releases to neutralize Parsons' pass rush. And here's where the speed and vision of players like Krosky Merritt could be crucial. If we can establish the running game early, that will keep Parsons honest and limit his effectiveness as a pass rusher. I also believe this will be an important test for our offensive line. They've improved significantly under the new coaching staff, but facing a talent like Parsons in primetime will really show where we stand as a unit. And here's another factor we can't ignore: Lambeau Field on Thursday night football. That environment is intimidating for any visiting team, and with a player like Parsons energizing that defense, it'll be even harder to execute our game plan. And now let's talk about a story many of you would probably prefer to forget, but which has a new chapter worth analyzing. Phidarian Mathis, the second-round draft flop from Ron Rivera in 2022, has just gotten a last chance for redemption with the Buffalo Bills. Let me remind you why this selection was so frustrating and why it represents everything that was wrong with the Ron Rivera era. Mathis was a luxury pick in the second round when the Commanders already had enough talent on their defensive line. Injuries and poor performance meant the Alabama product barely made it halfway through his rookie contract before Adam Peters showed him the door. But let me dive into why this pick was so problematic from the start. In the 2022 draft, the Commanders had clear needs in other positions: linebacker, safety, offensive line. But Rivera decided to double down on the defensive line with a second-round pick. That lack of vision and strategic planning was typical of that administration. And here's what bothered me most about the entire Mathis situation. It wasn't just that he wasn't producing on the field, but he seemed to lack the mentality needed to compete at the highest level. In a league where half the game is mental, especially for defensive linemen who need to read blocks and react instantly, Mathis always seemed a step behind. After landing with the New York Jets and failing to make the 53-man roster this summer, many thought that would be his last participation in the NFL. His performances during the Jets training camp were reportedly mediocre at best. He didn't show the kind of progression you'd expect from a player in his third professional year, but somehow, Mathis has managed to falling up to a last chance at redemption, and here I want to explain exactly what that term means in the context of the NFL. Now I tell you this, just when all hope seemed lost for Mathis, the Buffalo Bills signed him to their practice squad. They're dealing with some serious injury issues on their defensive line right now, and they can't fall short after confirming their status as Super Bowl favorites with an impressive comeback over the Baltimore Ravens in Week 1. The situation in Buffalo is this. Larry Ogunjobi is suspended for violating the NFL's substance policy. Dwayne Carter is on injured reserve with a shoulder injury that could keep him out several weeks. And Michael Holt is also serving a suspension for an off-field incident. So there might be a real opportunity for Mathis to be activated on game days with a smooth transition to a different environment. But I believe based on Mathis's recent trajectory, that's highly doubtful. He's always had some useful physical gifts. He's appropriately sized at 6 feet 4 inches and 312 pounds, has long arms ideal for his position, and showed flashes of ability at Alabama. The problem has been pulling it all together consistently, and that's the hardest part of transitioning from college to the NFL. And here I want to be completely honest with you. Part of me wants Mathis to succeed, not because I have any special affection for him, but because his success would validate there was talent there that simply wasn't developed properly in Washington. That would be another indictment of the Rivera era and a validation that our problems were systemic, not of individual talent. The Neville High School graduate in Louisiana was mediocre during the Jets training camp, which led to an inevitable fate. But now in Buffalo, he'll be surrounded by all-pro veterans like Von Miller when he's healthy, Matt Milano, and other players who could help him finally realize his potential. Mathis must recognize this situation for what it really is. A last-chance saloon opportunity to firmly establish himself and remain with a legitimate contender this season. The Bills are a first-class organization with a coaching staff that has demonstrated the ability to develop talent, especially on the defensive line. Easier said than done, obviously. He must hit the ground running from day one, stay completely healthy, something that was a constant issue in Washington, and make better use of his natural physical attributes. Otherwise, this opportunity will disappear very quickly, and it'll probably be his last in the NFL. Now, I want to take a moment to reflect on what these 3 stories tell us about the current state of the Washington franchise and the NFL in general. The story of Krosky Merritt represents everything that's right with the new Commanders administration. Adam Peters and his scouting department identified talent where others didn't look. And Dan Quinn has created an environment where that talent can flourish immediately. It's the kind of player development we didn't see for years under the previous administration. The situation with Micah Parsons tonight reminds us that in the NFL, every week is a new challenge, and even the best players have to deal with adversity. His ability to impact the game, even while dealing with injury, speaks to his elite mental toughness and the saga of Phidarian. Mathis is a painful but important reminder of how much development and organizational culture matter in the NFL. The same player who failed miserably in Washington could succeed in a different environment, which says a lot about where we were as an organization and how much we've progressed. Look, Commanders family, these 3 stories show us different sides of our franchise and the NFL in general. What do you think about Krosky Merritt's historic record? Do you think he can maintain this level all season, or was it just a flash in the pan? Are you worried about facing Micah Parsons tonight, even though he's limited by his back injury? And what do you think about Phidarian Mathis? Does he deserve a second chance, or has he already lost his moment for good? I want to hear all your opinions in the comments, because this community we've built together is a true family, and families debate, discuss, and grow together through open and honest dialogue. If you like this content, if you feel you learned something new about our team or the NFL in general, show that support with a like and share this video with other Washington fans. And if you're not yet part of our growing family, what are you waiting for to subscribe? Here you'll find the most exclusive news, the deepest and most detailed analysis, and the most authentic passion for our Washington Commanders. This community grows every day because you make it special with your participation and engagement. Hit like if you want more content like this. Subscribe so you don't miss any important news about our team. And leave me your specific predictions for tonight's game in the comments. Do you think we'll be able to neutralize Parsons? Can Krosky Merritt have another impressive game in a hostile environment like Lambeau Field? And remember, no matter what happens tonight, we're building something special in Washington. Hail to the Commanders!